11, so I do want to go ahead and get started. So if you are just joining us, I have up on the screen here to go and log into your account. If you would like to, if you want to mess around in your account, in your plan book, if you are a new user and you haven't created your account yet, or you haven't created a plan book yet, if you want to follow along with me, that is great if you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can just watch and listen. I do plan on uploading this recording to our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go back and watch it, hopefully, if I just went a little bit too fast or you missed something or you want to go back and watch something. Also, today you can put things in the chat if you have questions. If I don't get to something today and you want to ask me later, that is fine too. You can email us at support@commoncurriculum.com. We are a very small team. There's only 5 of us, so it may be me answering your question. It may be someone else, but we'll get back to you if you do have a question about something. But go ahead and get signed in, create your account, and I'll just give you a little bit longer to get to that, and then we'll go ahead and move on. All right, so just a little bit about me before we get started here. So I am a teacher success associate at CC, but I am a former high school teacher. I taught for 7 years. I worked in a lot of different departments, special education. Half the time I worked with kids on social skills, writing IEPs, running IEP meetings, all of that good stuff as a SPED teacher. I also was a gen ed teacher. I taught United States history for half my time, but also during that time, I was teaching English language learners and SPED students as well. I had all of them mixed into my classes. And during those times, I did pull out special ed classes. I was a co-teacher. I did inclusion. So lots of different things, at least at the high school level. I am a forever dog mom. Winry is my dog. And I put a couple pictures of her on there because she's my baby. She's very, very special. She's usually sitting below my feet at my desk while I'm working. She's a good foot warmer. She's very fluffy. And she's not very happy that it's summertime right now. She likes the winter. Stay out in the snow all day, but she doesn't like the heat. Okay, so things to know before we get started. The session is being recorded. Like I said, I'll probably upload this to our YouTube channel. If you don't want your face popping up, you could just turn your video off. If you don't mind, you can just leave it on. If you do ask a question, then that might be on the recording. So just FYI there. I will present for approximately 30 minutes, maybe a little under, a little over, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. We can go a little bit longer than 15 minutes too. I have time. I don't have a strict cutoff time. So if you have questions you want to ask, I can just stay on longer and we can talk about those. But while I'm presenting for the first 30 minutes, just put your comments, questions in the chat. I'll try to go up and kind of look through it as I'm going, but I might not get to it until the end. I'll just kind of see how the flow is going as we work through this. Again, if I do miss something in the chat or while I'm presenting, there's a question, make sure you email me afterwards or support@commoncurriculum.com if there is something that doesn't get answered. Okay, so by the end of today's session, so the goal is, the topic of today is getting up and running with CC. So I know there's some of you that may be brand new users. There may be some of you that have used us for a few months or a year. And I know there's some of you that are veterans. You've been with us for years. So maybe you are looking for, how do I even use this? What is this? How do I set up a plan book? I don't even know what that is yet. Maybe some of you have already been doing that for years and you're just looking for some tips or tricks, or maybe just a refresher. And you are all welcome. I think that's great. So you'll know the just the basics, the components of your homepage, your plan book, how to create your plan book, your schedule, your lessons, and just the basics for customization. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about today, I do have other sessions throughout the summer that'll really get into the details about those things. So a lot of the things today I'm mentioning is just the basics. This is going to get you up and running. It's going to get you planning and using your plan book. But if you want all of those nitty gritty details about those things, please join me for the other sessions this summer. Or if something piques your interest, like I'll mention the unit timeline today, but I'm not going to get into a ton of details about it today, join me for that session. It's a really useful tool. If you want to learn more about that, again, please join me. Okay. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, so what I want to do first, this is just my account. I have my sample plan book right here that I have built, which I kind of just set it up how I would have wanted it when I was teaching. So I'll show you some examples in there, just how I do some things in there. But first, I want to create a plan book with you for those of you that are new, or also you veterans that just want some tips and tricks about maybe how to set up your schedule a little differently or something like that. So go to create plan book. If you are brand new, it might look a little bit different than this, but you'll have basically the same thing. So what do you want to call your classroom? You can name it whatever you want. So my classroom, I named it Ninth US History because that's what I taught. If you're an elementary teacher, maybe you just want to call it like your name second grade, your name third grade, whatever you want to call it. You can always go back and rename your plan book if you want to. So this is definitely not set in stone. And then you pick what the school year is for. I'm just going to create it for now so we can look at the like this week in the plan book. If you want to start a plan book for next year, then go ahead and click the 24-25. And then if you have a weekly schedule, Monday through Friday, every week, choose that. If you have a block rotating cycle or a B schedule, you want to use that. And then I have this selection here, which is how would you like to share your plan book? Because I am part of a school, which this is just CC's, this Commonwealth Academy is CC's sample school. But if you're not part of a school, that's fine too. You just won't have those options. And then what days of the week? So I'm going to choose Monday through Friday. Okay, there is some kind of tutorial videos that pop up as we're going through this. You can just skip over those because I'm here, so we don't need those. Okay, so first what you want to do is add a class. So if you are a secondary teacher, you might teach the same thing multiple times a day. So let's say I'm teaching 9th US history. And if I'm teaching high school, I might teach 9th grade US history 5 times. So you can put that class in there one time if you know that you're going to be teaching the same thing. If you know that your classes are going to look different, maybe it's the same subject, but maybe they do look very different, you would want to build multiple classes. So I'm going to add another class and I'm going to say like 9th US history, like period 2. And I can change the colors if I want to. If you're an elementary, just put in all of your subjects in there. I'll just do like 9th US history, period 3. I know for myself, when I was teaching, even though my classes were the same or I was teaching the same content, there's a lot of different things happening in the classes depending on my differentiations and accommodations and things like that. Okay, this is a question I get asked a lot on support is there a way to put times into your schedule? There's not a specific feature for this. How I suggest doing this is putting it into the name of your class. So let's say your first period is 8 to 9, then I would put the times in there. And then your second period is like 9:05 to 10. So whatever your times are, that's where I would put it if you want to keep track of that. And then maybe this is 10:05 to 11. Okay, so those are my classes. You can always go back and edit this. So if you are following along right now and you have a lot more things you want to put in, or you're not sure exactly what you want to call your classes yet, or if you want to put the times in there or not, you can always go back and edit this. But I'm going to go ahead and go next. And I'm going to go to adjust my schedule. So this is where I kind of view CC as kind of like this one-stop shop. Like it's not just this place where I get to plan my lessons. It's also a place where I keep track of my whole schedule. I keep track of what's happening during my day, things I need to remember, other things I need to do before school, after school, lunchtime. This is my planner for it's not just a lesson planner. That's how I view it, at least. And that's why I find it so helpful and why I wish I would have had it. So I'm just going to give you some kind of tips and tricks to build it that way so you can use it in that way. So it's not just a lesson planner for you. Okay, so these are your classes, but you can also add note cards. So anything that's happening during your day that's not a class, you want to put a note card in for it. Something that I would have done was I would make a to-do list for the morning, or that's what I would do. To-do list for the AM. And I'm going to move that up and put it before my first period. And then that's going to be listed in my schedule. You can see it right here. So then if I have something I need to do in the morning, like maybe I have an IEP meeting at 7:30, I can just put that in right there. I'm not going to make a class for that because it's not a class. It's just something that's maybe happening one time. I can just type it into that note and it's right there. There's no reason why I need to have a separate calendar or a paper planner or a separate doc where I'm keeping track of all these things. For me as a teacher, it was much more efficient and I could organized if everything was done in one place and I could see everything in one place. So I encourage you to do that, or at least try that out and see if that works for you. I would also add in, I know during my day, something that was happening a few times a week in my schedule was I would have team meetings. So if I know that I have a team meeting every day from 11:30 to noon, I can make a note card for that. And then, well, let's say it's not every day. Maybe it's just on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. So I want to make a note card for that. And like if my team meeting was earlier in the day, maybe it's between first and second period, I could move this up and place it wherever I want. Maybe you want to add a note card in for lunchtime. Maybe you're an elementary teacher and you have bus duty or other types of recess duty, other things like that. You can throw that in there in your notes. So once you have that all listed out here, you have all your note cards in, if you want to-do list, or if you want to add in lunchtime or recess or whatever things that are happening in your schedule, put that all in here, and then it's going to show up every day automatically. You don't have to go through and copy and paste this stuff. Again, you can always come back and edit this. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but you can come back and edit this and change things. Okay, now I'm to my template page. We have lots of different options for templates. It's kind of like the holy grail of CC because this is where you don't have to copy and paste stuff a million times. Anything that's happening in your schedule every day or the things that are the same, you just put it into your template and it's automatically there. So let's say that like here for your objectives, students will be able to, if you have a different type of wording that your school uses, or there's a different way they want you to say to word that, I know at one point when I was teaching, I had to be like students will, and then students will understand. So if that is the wording that your school uses, you just type that in here and then you don't have to type that all the time. Maybe you have to type in your objective every day, but you don't have to type that. Or if there are certain procedures you have, I wasn't an elementary teacher, but I know for elementary teachers, there's a lot of procedures that you're like doing the same thing every day. Like maybe during the morning meeting, you're always doing like the same things. Just put that into your template, it automatically shows up. So for right now, I'm just going to choose this basic. I do have a session planned that is specifically about templates, and I'll go into the details about all of that. So if you're curious more about that, go ahead and join that session with me. Okay, so this is the change or edit templates page. These are my classes. I can change a class to a different template if I want. I can choose from that gallery. I can do whatever I want for that class's template. Maybe I decide for first period that maybe I want to add in a Google Classroom card because maybe your school uses Google Classroom. You can actually post assignments right from CC. We have an integration with Google Classroom, so you can do that all from right here. Or maybe you want to add in a homework card. You can do that. You can move these around however you want. And you can add whatever cards you want. You can get rid of them if you don't want them. The template is completely customizable. But I'm going to go ahead and click done. And I'm going to go to next. Okay, so that is your basic setup. All of those things that you just did, or I just did, you can go back and edit those. This button right here is really, this is your settings button. So to go back and change all of those things, if you click on edit classes here, you have all of those options again. You have your classes, your schedule, your templates, so you can go in and do that. Okay, this is a really important button for you, the settings, because you can do all of those things. I know that some teachers really love this. I know teachers can really get into like their colors and making sure things are organized. I was like that too. So if you want to do that, you can change your background. I know that's kind of just a fun thing. So you can choose one of those if you want to. If we want to pretend we're at the beach right now, we could put some palm trees up there. I'll change it to this one. Okay, so that's a really important button. Another really important button for you is this button. This is the day menu, and in the day menu, you have a lot of options, and these are all options that will affect your whole day. So let's say that you have a snow day or something, some reason why there's no classes, you can click no classes and all of your classes will automatically bump forward. They will automatically all bump forward. They will go over the weekends because you have no classes. If there's a special event, let's say that, I don't know, maybe there's a fire drill and you want to make sure that you note that, you can put in a special event for a day. So that's your day menu. This is your lesson menu. So anything you do in this menu is going to affect this lesson and this class. So let's say that you have a doctor's appointment first period, but you're going to be back for second period. So you don't want to bump your whole day. You just want to bump period 1. So you can do that here, which I'll show you an example of that when I move over to my example plan book. So you can kind of see what that looks like. But the other things I just want to show you in this plan book I just set up is that just how you plan, I want to get out of there, how you plan your lessons. So standards, if you want to add standards into your lessons, if your school requires that, or you just want to make sure you're holding yourself accountable, make sure you're attaching standards to your lessons, search and add standards on your standard card, find your state or organization. I'm in Iowa, so I'll choose Iowa. And I was a social studies teacher and I taught 9th grade. So I can pick all the standards that I'm going to cover for that lesson. All I have to do is just click that little plus button over on the left. I can close and return to lesson, and they're right there. When you go back to add more standards, it's going to go back to where you last were at. So let's say you live in Florida. If you have these pulled up, you don't have to go back every time and search for Florida and then search for social studies. Like it's going to have it pulled up for you. If you want to copy and paste any of the cards in your lessons, you can do that. You have these here below each card. If you want to add a file, you can. You can add it to your class website, which I'll talk a little bit about more here in a little bit. You can add comments. You can change your colors. If you do want to copy this, so let's say that whatever lesson you're teaching on Tuesday here, you know you're going to be using the same standards. Just copy it and then you can paste it right there. Or let's say that maybe on Wednesday, okay, you're covering the same standards, but now maybe you figured out, okay, your students really aren't understanding the appropriate research procedures and you know maybe you just want to focus on that for Thursday. Then you can just copy that one and paste it. I do have a session specifically over standards. So if you want to join that one, we can get into more details about that. Okay, I am going to jump over to my sample plan book here, just so you can kind of see what a filled out plan book looks like. All right, so if we just look at Tuesday, this is just a really good tip. I know I mentioned it when building our schedule. So I would have built before school to-dos to remind myself, these are all the things that I need to get done for that day. I can even kind of use it as a notepad if I want to, because we have these text features here. So maybe I made those copies and I want to show myself that that's done. I can cross it out if I want to. Also, if I have calls I need to make before school starts, I can do that. Also, just to remind myself things that are happening later in the day, I would put that there. And then I have my lesson here. So within your lesson, you can put in links. So during my lesson, this one's about the first Battle of Bull Run. We're at the beginning of the year, so we're in the Civil War unit. I can pull up a video.
Want to test drive US Cellular's nationwide?
And it's right there in my plan book. I don't have to have it pulled up in a separate tab. It's just right there. I know when I was teaching, I had like a million tabs because I was like, I need my Google Doc. I need my YouTube video. I need my copy of a map that I'm going to be going over on the Promethean board. But with CC, you can really just have it all right there and then just click and pull it up. On Wednesday, I know I'm going to be covering the Anaconda plan. I'm going to make some copies for my students of that. We can all follow along on the board. We can talk about Scott's Great Snake, and I can just pull it up, and then it's right there. Okay. Computer's being a little finicky. Okay. If I have notes that I want to attach, I can attach slides and I can click that. It's going to pull it right up. So anything you need for your lessons, any materials, put it right into your lessons, into CC. So you don't have to have a bunch of different things pulled up. And then also the great thing is, once you do this in your plan book, when you go to make a copy of this for the next year, because you don't want to have to redo all of this work that you've done for this year. If you're teaching the same thing next year, you just copy your plan book. It's all right there. Your links are in there, your slides are in there, your graphics are in there. They're all in there. And you can just edit your schedule if that changed a little bit. You can just edit all of that when you're creating your plan book and have it set up for that year. Okay, some other things I want to show you, check on time here. Up here is you have a day view. So if you're teaching during the day and you don't want to be distracted by everything else happening that week, you can just view it in the day. The week, you can view it by month. If maybe you're planning out with a team or something, you can move things around here. So let's say I want to move this lesson up here. I can do that in the month view. Let's say I accidentally moved something and I actually didn't want to do that. I can undo it. The undo button is really important and it's really cool. You can undo that you just moved that lesson. Let's say I also want to undo an edit I just made to a card. I can undo that. As long as you don't refresh your screen or close out of this browser, anything that you've done during that session, you can undo it. Just make sure you don't refresh and make sure you don't close out. Other than that, you can undo everything. So even if you've done 35 edits, however many edits, if you want to go back and undo all of those, you can if you want to. Okay, the other views, the unit timeline, which this is available to pro users. If you want to learn more details about this and how to use this like most efficiently and get the most out of it, join my session where I'm going to cover this. But I just want to cover the really quick basics about it. So you can create your units and create an overview of your whole year right here in the unit timeline. So for my first unit is about the Civil War. I can click on this, I can change the color, add a title. Let's say that within the Civil War, I also want like a add in subunit. So like over here for unit 3 for the Gilded Age, I know that during the Gilded Age, I'm going to spend a few days on The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. I know that that's something I'm going to want to dive deeper into and really focus on. So I'm just going to create a subunit right there. And then that's going to show up in my plans. If I click on the unit, you'll see this button right here. It says show full unit in the sidebar. You can do all of your unit planning. You can put all your resources in there, get all the stuff ready for your unit. And then you can use that when you go to plan out your individual lessons. If you want to learn more about that, join my session about that. Okay. So the other view is the outline view. And this has all of your lessons here. I don't have very many lessons in this plan book because I'm just using it as a sample. I think I have 3 weeks done. So you can look there and then you can click on lessons. You can plan them out that way if you want to. Everyone kind of has their own way of planning things. Maybe you like planning in the outline. Maybe you like planning in the week view. Maybe you like planning in the day view. It's really up to you. Just kind of figure out how you want to plan, whatever works for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to my week. There's also this button here, sharing and website. You can share a link. So let's say that your admin wants to be able to look over your plans. If you're part of a school, your admin is going to automatically have access to your plans. They can see all their teachers' plan books. But if you're not part of a school, you can just give them that link and then they will have that link. They can go in and look at your plans whenever they want. You don't need to share it with them again. You don't need to tell them, hey, my lesson plans are done, because they just have the link and they can go in and check. You can add collaborators. So let's say that you teach 9th grade history, but there's also 3 other teachers that teach 9th grade history. You could share if you want to, and you can divide up the work. Maybe one of you is putting in the standards. One of you is attaching all of your resources. One of you is planning the procedures. So you can split up that work if you would like to. Or if there's a new teacher that comes in, you can just share your plan book with them and they can see what you're doing and they can get totally up to speed with your plan book. Over here is the class websites. So I have a class website set up for my period 1. All your classes, you can set up a different class website. And all you need to do to give people access to your website is share the link. So you can share the link to your parents, you can share the link to your students, and then they don't have to have a password, they don't have to have a username. All they need is that link, and they can see everything that you want to post on your class website. So I'm going to visit mine just to show you what it looks like. The only thing that shows on the class website is what I want to show. So within my CC, I've selected, I want standards to show on my website. I want my objective to show, and I want my agenda to show. I don't want anything else to show up. There could be sensitive information in your lesson plans. Go ahead and put that in there if you want to, like your accommodations, your differentiations, all of your notes. That's not going to show up on your website because you get to choose what you want to show up on your website. Maybe you just want to make it really simple and all you want to show up is homework. You can just select the homework card, show on class website, and then that's all that will post. And then they can click through the weeks. This is really good for kind of lessening that back and forth if a student is absent. They don't have to email you and be like, hey, what did we do this day? Or they don't have to stop in after school and be, hey, I missed yesterday. What did we do? They don't have to do that anymore. They can just come to this. And also for parents too. Maybe their kids are out for a few days and they're wondering, what did my kid miss? It's right there. And there's also links too. So if you watched a video in class, you want your absent student to watch that, it's right there for them, or resources too. Okay, I'm gonna show you, where are we at on time? Okay, 11:33, so just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my unit planner, and I just wanna show you kind of what to do. I know I mentioned this a little bit about bumping classes, but what to do if things do not go as planned, because we all know as teachers, things usually don't go exactly as planned. There's always something that happens that maybe throws things off. Or I know for myself, I thought that maybe something would take 2 days, and it turned out my kids needed a week to do it. So maybe I had a lesson planned in 2 days. I'm like, this is not going to work, but I have all my lessons planned out. You can just bump your lessons and then add in those. Okay, I have someone raising their hand. Do you have a question? Oh, okay. So is the sharing and website automatic, meaning we don't have to maintain it? Nope, you don't. So once you start that class website the first time, it's automatically there. And if you want to update what's shown and what's not shown, you can do that. It will just automatically update. Same thing with the sharing. Once you share with another teacher or your admin, it's shared until you go to the sharing class website and you just decide you don't want to share it with them anymore. The website and the unit timeline, those are only available in Pro. You can share with up to, I think it's 3 collaborators if you don't have Pro. So if you have the basic version, you can still share with people. Okay, so if you do have something come up, I have an example here, a dentist appointment. Let's say that for Thursday, something else comes up. Maybe I have like a surprise IP meeting that's happening during first period. I can just put that in. So IP meeting, create, and then it's going to bump my my first period over. And then let's say that there's a no school day. So let's say July 2nd, there's no classes for whatever reason. It's in July, so I don't know. There's like a heat wave or something. So we'll put that in, create, and then it's going to bump all of my classes forward and automatically does that for me. And it's going to move over the weekends automatically. So everything is going to shift for me. If we're going back to that example I was talking about, if let's say this day 9, it actually is going to take me 2 days instead of 1. So I can bump things over and then plan lesson. So let's day 10, I'm going to bump this. So now I have an open lesson here because everything bumped forward. So now I can go here and I can copy this lesson and then I can paste it here. And maybe I want to call this like part 3, part 2, or day 2, or whatever you want to put in there. And then, of course, you can go in and edit this. Like, I'm sure part of the agenda, your agenda is probably going to change a little bit. Maybe there's some things you're just going to cover again. Maybe you don't need to continue discussing the language analysis and just take that part out and edit that how you want to.